Okay, so I'm working on the Silvertone, and let's do an overview here. And I noticed, got a piece of cardboard to keep the, well, I had it up against the back to keep the cats from exploring the rear of the chassis, but I noticed when I looked in the side of the chassis, I don't have any light on the subject. There we go. Anyway, so I noticed that yellow Astro cap right there. That's going to need to probably just come out and be replaced, but of course I'm going to check it before I put even the slightest bit of power from the Variac through this. And there's the parts list, complete parts list that Sears provided for the Silvertone, as well as the schematic. So I was gonna say, right now, the process of carefully removing this radio cover. I do notice, actually my wife noticed that the needle works. So that means, and then I checked underneath and the string is thread on the radio pulleys, which is a good thing. It's positive. I did notice that might be cracked. Well, it might not be cracked there. I guess it's this roughly the same, but one of the screws was a replacement. Or maybe it was original and the rest of these three standards are replacements. Yeah, because I think those are countersinked and the holes may not be. So anyway, I'm going to remove the rest of these and see if I can't drop the chassis after removing these knobs. Okay, so I've removed the radio panel and got the light glowing underneath from that's my light. But anyway, yeah, I'm about to pull the chassis. So I wanted to go ahead and kind of get an overview of how dusty the tubes are. Of course, I've seen a lot worse. And also wanted to get a look at this underside of this record player, which definitely looks, at this point, salvageable to me. And there's the electrodynamic speaker with the output transformer sitting on it, or field coil or whatever. So okay, so just wanted to document disconnection of the chassis from the rest of the console stereo and phonograph. There's the record player, there's the radio readout, chassis with the tubes, electrodynamic speaker. There's the terminals for the phono, ground and phonograph, monaural from the chassis. There's the mains power plug. There's from the output and the electrodynamic speaker to the chassis. And this last plug is power for the phonograph. Thought I had to mark this, but I don't. Actually, they're two different sizes. So I guess the power is larger, the ground is smaller, or vice versa. Have to check that in the schematic. So one of these screws is loose from this board, and I'll take 3 more, I'm assuming. Yeah, 1, 2. Looks like the rectifier 5Y3 GT was a replacement, Zenith replacement like I thought. The Philco 6V6 power amplifier tube, and then the Sylvania 607G, I believe it is, was also apparently a replacement. And then here I have a Silvertone, still in the process of cleaning it up, a 607G. So maybe the first IF 455 kilohertz position that this tube occupies is original. Very carefully lifting these tube caps with extreme delicacy, as much as possible. There we go. Okay, here's the chassis. First look, right after I removed it from this board it was screwed to, with this hardware right here. So, wow, there's some filter caps. By the looks of it, original. Paper. Ooh, big mess in there. Okay, I'm just going to take a damp cloth and go over this Aerovox. A little bit to remove some dust so I can see all the ratings on this cap. So we got 450 working volts, 4s and 20 microfarads. 450 volts at 8 microfarads, it appears here, and then we got another Aerovox at 20. So it looks like we can do, if this had a can cap, it would be what, 2810, is that right? No, it'd be a 2028. So actually F&T, a 22 and a 22 over there. I don't know if I have any 8 microfarad caps, but I can order them. Probably use some, yeah, F&T on this. If a restoration was what we're going to do, but this is quite a mess. But I have the schematic, so there's really no problem, as long as all the parts are replaceable. And now I know with this much time passed, I should probably not trust these mica caps. But I would expect them to fail last after probably first the paper ones, then these waxy ones. Looks like that one's, oh yeah, that one looks iffy. May have failed already or is seriously compromised. I don't know. So yeah, I think for testing, I'm not gonna risk this with a Variac until I've replaced these filter caps, because there's no point in damaging components further. And then probably replace all these waxy caps too, wouldn't hurt. There's another paper. Sprague right there. That's a Sprague at least, but Sprague paper, no good. But if we can put a meter to them all just for curiosity, here I will. 7.3. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to report that the chassis is starting to clean up. Application of a little bit of, a little bit of damp cloth, but I'm gonna have to switch to a Q-tip and really clean this up before getting serious with the components. I think cleaning it up where I can see is the best first step. Okay. Those crystals are a rat urine. Time to switch to gloves. So this is the Silvertone R5561 chassis. After a little bit of cleaning, and several hours of cleaning, and right now I've got the shields off of the 607Gs. One Sylvania and one apparently original Silvertone. But instead of putting power to this radio amplifier with a variac like I would normally do, I noticed right off the bat, checking the filter caps, we have a situation. So yeah, one good thing about this is if I do decide to restore this radio in its original condition, or at least in the condition with which I found it, the thread was still intact, so probably won't have to be restringing that anytime soon. But that's a very nice feature. The radio looks to be in good condition as long as these coils are intact, and I don't have any reason so far to doubt that, although they still might have gunk. Living up inside them. There's the bottom of one. Right, and then if the radio did show evidence of bands missing, or it couldn't tune through its intended range, then in that case I could take these cans off and inspect the filters visually, or even put a signal through the amplifier, or through the radio and amplifier using the signal generator. 73.